Hello fellow orchid lovers, it's Danielle here with a care collab video about my Vanda orchid. So I have had this Vanda since May of 2017. As many of you know, Vandas do require a lot more light than some other orchids such as Phalaenopsis, which a lot of us have. They also are very thirsty plants, and they are very hungry plants, so they like a fair amount of food. So I just wanted to discuss how I satisfy those things with my plant. Unfortunately, she's not in bloom right now. She was fairly recently in bloom, so I'm sorry that you missed that, but I am going to show you a picture of what her blooms look like during this video. So I grow in water culture, and what that means is I just don't use any media. I just use like a vase or a pot, and I give them a reservoir of water. There's different versions of semi-water culture. Water culture. I do have some videos on that if you want to check that out. But as far as the Vanda is concerned, the way that I care for her, specifically water-wise, is because she is very thirsty. I always have a little bit of water in her glass. So I just upsized her actually to a bigger glass because she was outgrowing the glass that I had her in. But as you can see, I have a reservoir of water on the bottom. Since this is technically winter, we're not quite into spring yet, I don't have the water levels very high. I just have the bottoms of a few roots in the water at all times so that she has some humidity because she does enjoy a lot of moisture. During the summer months, I raise the water level a little bit higher so that she has a little bit more water available to her. Once a week, I fill the vase all the way up with water and give her a nice good drink so that all of her roots get saturated. So that's kind of the case right now. You can see all of her beautiful green roots. She doesn't have any active growing root tips because, like I said, it is a colder month and Vandas tend to callus over their root tips during the colder months. And then as soon as they sense that it gets warm enough, they start actively growing their roots again. Now, as far as light is concerned, Vandas do like a fair amount of light. And so I do have her up in this window, which is a south-facing window. I do have a sheer curtain to block some of the light because it is very intense light and it will burn my plants. So I have a sheer curtain up, but that is her spot. She actually sits right here on this piece of Tupperware, so she's nice and forward facing towards the sun. And I also have supplemental lights above as well. So one of the ways that I know that she's getting adequate light is, as you can see on her foliage here, she has these little freckles. So those little freckles tell me that she's getting adequate light. You don't want them to be, the leaves to get like a dark color on them, but this little freckling kind of shows you that she's getting a good amount of light, if my camera will focus, which it won't. Okay, there we go. It's just being difficult. And then as far as food is concerned, I kind of just feed her along with whatever I'm doing for my Cattleyas because they also like a fair amount of food. I do give her fertilized water most of the time. Every once in a while, I do just a plain water flush, just RO water or even just tap water because my tap water has a very low ppm. But typically when I'm feeding her, she gets anywhere from 150 to just below 300 ppm, depending on the season. If it's in the winter and she's not really growing very vigorously, I kind of go on the downside of that, so around 150 ppm. But in the summer, when she's really putting in that active growth or she's developing a spike, I'll bump it up a little bit, but I never really go above 300. So I'd like to show you actually a picture of her blooms. Let me try not to get you out of frame while I'm opening this up. So some of you that follow me pretty regularly, you'll recognize, there's quite a bit of a glare, I'm sorry. But as you can see, she has that beautiful purplish blue color, which is really, really nice. I enjoy it quite a bit. I would have more Vandas, but as you may have noticed, unfortunately, there's not a ton of room left in my grow room. So I kind of have to work on cycling some plants out before I can get any more, but I do really want them. Now, as far as problems with this plant, the only problem I ever had with her was when I kind of second guessed myself. Like I said, I grow in water culture. And when I first started growing in water culture, a lot of people had a lot to say about it. They kind of were telling me that it wasn't a good way to grow my plants and that they were all gonna die, etc., etc. And so when I first got her, I put her in water culture because I knew that Vandas like water, and she did fabulous. She grew a lot of nice roots. She started to spike, and then as soon as she spiked, I let people's voices get into my head, and I took her out of full water culture, and she aborted the spike and she lost all her roots. So I shouldn't have done that. I should have stuck with my gut and kept her in full water culture. And it took a while for her to bounce back, because I got her, like I said, in May of 2017. Her first bloom spike for me was not until October of 2020. So it took a while for her to kind of get her feet back under her, get her root system in a spot where she was capable of blooming. But now that she does have a great root system and she's getting enough light and the water requirements are good for her, she has bloomed 3 times since October of 2020. It would have been 4, but right before I got this spike, she actually aborted a spike. I'm not really sure why, but that happens occasionally. So there was a spike in there that was developing that she aborted. But 3 bloom spikes in, you know, a little over a year is that's fine with me. So that's how I care for my Vanda orchid. Like I said, I grow her in full water culture, so she has access to water at all times. It's only a small amount, but she has access to water at all times. Once a week, she gets a full pot flush, and she gets really, really good light, good south-facing light, and she gets fed very regularly. So if you have any questions about the way that I grow this plant, please let me know. As far as the other channels that are taking part in this video, I'm going to put their names in the description. I had a piece of paper with all the channels on it, and I don't know what I did with it. I'm looking around right now and I can't find it. So I'm gonna have to just put all of the channels in the description of the video so that you guys can also check out those channels. There's quite a really good list of people that are taking part in this care collab, so make sure you check out some other videos, because it's people that grow in bark, it's people that grow bare root, it's people that grow in semi-hydro. It's a really good mix of people that have had fabulous success in their method of growing Vandas. So I hope you all have a really great day, and I will talk to you all next time.